Welcome back again for another video with me, dear IGCSE ICT students. This will be the February-March 2023 paper, and we're continuing with the previous question, and this will be the question 19. Now, most of the time, if you want to take it conceptually, the Cambridge exams would like us to import multiple files and then identify the same thing again with the most appropriate primary key, data types, and field names that it required us to do. And when they come into the second question, let's say, for example, here, import files into a new table, set this as a primary key, it seems a repeat. And normally they won't show you what data type or what decimal places that you need to set. Usually they just want you to import, identify which one is the most appropriate field for primary key, and so on and so forth. And this question right here, they want us to import two and an additional file, making this particular task a total 3 source file that we need to import. Sometimes we only need to do 2. This time we need to do 3. So the very first one is to ask us to import m23houses.csv and set the house code as the primary key. We're just going to do that first, going into our Windows environment right here. I'm just going to delete this because I made a little mistake with this import. And this one, I'm just going to go ahead and just import again by selecting the external data ribbon and select new data source. And make sure you select text file and find where you have downloaded the source file. And this one, I'm just going to go ahead and select the M23 houses as required. Open it up, select OK. And you can just go ahead and ignore this one and click next, because most of the source file given by Cambridge, it usually separates information by comma. We can just go ahead and click next. Now, I always tell my students to not forget checking the first row contains field names, because this will make the first row as the header, or what we call the field. And once you make sure you check that, just click next. And I know some students will prefer, or some even teachers will prefer, to make the data types right here or check it right here on the advanced button. But you know that we can actually change them in the design view later on. So you can just go ahead and cancel or make the changes that you want to. For me, I'm just going to go and click next. Now, this is where we need to select the primary key, because the question has already told us to do so by setting the house underscore code as the primary key. So that once you select the radio button on the second one and that is selected, you can just go ahead and import the table to the database. And once that's being imported, you can double click that and you can see the information in a table structure. Now, the question next will ask us to examine another file called m23staff.csv. So we can do the same process again, import a text file and find the m23 staff and import it inside. Follow the same processes. Always make sure that the first row contains the field names are being checked, and then just move on to where you need to select the primary key. Now, this time, Cambridge exams will always, oftentimes, every task in the database, it will always ask you to find the most appropriate field as a primary key. And the concept of the primary key is really simple. We need to find information that has no duplicates at all. And in this particular instance, let's take a look. Class code. There's definitely no duplicate right over there. And even the names itself say it's code. Names are terrible for primary key, so never use that. Subject, there is subject. Sometimes some students will have duplicates, and it's not recommended to do it, even though there are no duplicates right here. And then row here. So most easily, if you have a few names that have something like code and there's no duplicate, this will be the primary key. Select that, click finish, close this, and then you have the table imported into the database. Now, once we've done that, we need to place in the evidence showing the field names, data types, and the primary key used in each of the tables that you imported. So once you import it, by habit, we often need to go back to the home ribbon and change it to the design view so that we can screenshot that we have applied the correct primary key and imported all the field names into the database. I'm going to screenshot that and open up my evidence folder or file. So that was the previous question, task 18. So right at the bottom, it's going to go ahead and close this. And because previously I didn't save this, it's going to go ahead and save it in the desktop file for now. All right, let's save here. I'm just going to say that this is database evidence. You can name it whatever file that you want to, but as during your practice, but during the exam itself, to pay attention to the requirements they ask you to. So I'm just going to have to save this and then paste the question 19 evidence inside. So that's the first table. We still have to screenshot the other table. So I'm going to go ahead to access and make sure the M23 staff change this to design view and screenshot this too. All right. Now, when you screenshot the evidences, you have to make sure that it is clear and it does show the primary key clearly, all the field names that's required, and data type. It seems that the thing didn't go in. All right. So I have shown that the primary key and field names and the data type are all in, and I basically got all the tree marks required for this question. Hope this video tutorial helps, and give me a thumbs up if this helps in the YouTube. And with that, thank you very much. I'll see you in the next question.